Hey guys, it's Aquam here, and today I will be doing theoretical tracking and how to play the map of hardcore servers. And I apologize for the monotonous voice. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm here with Laxboy. He's building something over there. He's building frickin' giant swords. But,
Yeah.
You might be wondering what that thing behind me is and this giant penis sticking into the sky. And this is how I'm going to explain my stuff. And this is the legitimacy behind my ideas. I have a PhD in tracking, given to me by Laxboy. Thank you,
Sweet.
Laxboy.
No problem.
Now, I've spent my time putting together this tie-dyed hippie map to explain how the map works on MCPvP and other hardcore servers. Now, we're just going to go over how this is going to help you, what you need to know to do better in MCPvP and other hardcore servers, what all these damn colors and blocks mean, and where to put your stuff. So first of all, let's get into what these blocks mean, and I'll be putting links and like little time things for all of the other things that you can just like fast forward to if you don't want to hear this crap. But first of all, we have red, which is X-ray. It's generally screwed and it's overcrowded. We have orange, which is something that you should be cautious in building your bank in. It's usually overcrowded, just like the red area. It follows the general trend, and it still gets X-rayed. Now, we can move over to the yellow, which has slight caution. You should always be kind of working out of your bank, or whatever you have there, relatively quickly. People are still going to track it. You're going to put farms, temp banks, and maybe a tracker there. The ice block will represent spawn. The obsidian blocks will represent general trackers, not your tracker, just general ones. The brown stuff is just generally shit, as the color implies. I swear to God, if another fly goes down my throat like last night when I was recording, I killed myself.
Are you fucking... Wait, a fly?
Yeah, a fucking like bug went down my throat and I like choked on it for a minute and a half straight. And I was like, oh. Anyways, the green is farms and other good stuff. That's not too good. The dark green is bad shit. And then Laxboy's vault is in pink.
Sweet.
Oh yeah, and the last one is purple is something that's untouched, and magenta is grade A vaults and banks and shit, you know? So, that's about it for the colors. Let's hop into how we're going to... Alright guys, so now we're in a part where I'm going to talk about trends, how people think when they start up a map, and what you're going to want to do at the beginning of a map, or whenever you're starting a map. Now, generally when people spawn in from this area and they want to leave, they are going to go like this. And they're going to run down the middle, like idiots. And people have this misconception that because your cores are getting higher at the same time, that you're actually going farther away. And while this is true, you are going about roughly radical 3 times whatever block you are on your x-axis or y-axis, farther away as long as you're keeping them equal. You are going a little bit farther, but everyone goes there. Don't go straight up the middle. Why do I have that much reach? Don't go straight up the middle. It's a terrible idea. People do not think of doing this. Very few people will run right up this and just see how far they can go. Now, that is a good thing to do, but you don't want to say right on the zero thing. Hi, Lax. You don't want to say there. You want to find those weird quirky spots like this that nobody else really goes to, that are kind of in between this like rough patch area that a lot of people are trampling over just to get to. Now, this tutorial is going to show you not only how to take advantage of the map, but to take advantage of the people who are taking advantage of the map. You want to be on top. You want to be on top of the people who are on top. Get it? So, what you're going to want to do is avoid this trend right here, where everybody goes. Think of it like a hipster. Just stay away from it. This area over here, not so good, because they're kind of low chords. 5k, 6k, 4k. Not a good spot. And it reflects on this side of the map too. It reflects throughout the entire map. Just depends on which quadrant you're in. Now, this area can be okay. However, there's going to be a lot of tracking here. And while it's not extremely bad, kind of like the red and orange zones, you're going to want to be cautious here. I generally won't make a bank here. However, in this green area, I will make banks all day. I don't mind making a bank there. And the reason is that people will not stray their chords off to one side. They're skewing their chords. If you look at my chords, the X is 14 and the Z is 5. Now each block stands for 500, so that would put my chords at about 7k and 2.5k. Nobody builds banks at 7k, 2.5k. But then again, nobody tries checking at 7k, 2.5k. So that's why you're going to want to go there. So another good place to go would be like 9k, 10k, and 4k. Nobody checks there. Nobody goes around this nice purple, pink, and magenta area. They all like running up and down the middle. Now, because people X-ray in this first area, this is an extreme area for X-ray. No one tracks here, it's all X-ray, completely. Just don't even go here. People can build a nether portal and travel about 1,200 blocks in the nether to instantaneously run into the force field and get stuck right here. Now, people use this for one or two reasons. To X-ray all the banks around here, or to build a tracker. Now, when they build the tracker here, this is the exact damn tracker they're going to build. It's going to be exactly this. It's called a corner tracker. And it is the most common tracker I will ever find in this area. Because they think that they're just going to track this entire area and nobody's going to be able to touch them, but they're idiots. No, don't do that. The reason why you don't want to build trackers here, or corner trackers in general, in an actual corner, is because everybody knows it's going to be there. Now, if you're going to build the corner tracker, and I just removed my items, I apologize about that, you're going to want to build your corner tracker like this. You're going to want to do the exact damn opposite from what they're doing, and put it like that. Because you're going to generally be tracking almost the same area that you're making, but nobody's going to be tracking you because they don't have the reach on you. They can't get you from there. So if you're going to build trackers, don't follow the trend. Always think differently. So I hope you've learned a little bit on trends, and we're going to be moving on to the next subject. See you soon. Alright guys, I am back after a small break and some water, and I'm now going to explain how trackers, and tracking in general, play into the map of MCPvP and other hardcore servers. Now, trackers, there's many different types of trackers. I'm going to show you a couple examples. We have general trackers, which are called vanillas, and they look like that, and they track like that. You have corner trackers, which are half of a vanilla, and they only track in one direction. Now, these ones are usually made a lot longer, because they don't require as many resources, and they're a lot easier to track with. The lowest level of tracking is vanilla. Its step up from that is a horizontal, which is multiple ones, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and put a corner on each one. And this is called a stacked tracker. 1, 2, let's just do 1, 1, and then we have 1, we have 1, and that's a horizontal. And you have a large tracker right here, and then a small tracker right there. Now, you're going to find most of those kinds of trackers around here, and you're going to find those corner trackers right there, right there, and right there. And now those trackers are usually called vault trackers because they're only used for tracking vaults. That one's just a general corner tracker. Now, corner trackers are always going to be just generally a corner like this, no matter where they are, and they're still going to be called that, but they're going to be placed in a corner. Now, a step up from that is a full map tracker, which is what I use. Now, I use a full map, that's double layered Hunslows, and, oops, I'm using these. I don't think this should be too confusing, but it's two different trackers basically on two different levels, and that allows me to track faster, but they only track a single X and a single Y. Now, the reason why people use this is to track the entire map efficiently using the least amount of supplies that they have. Hunso came up with this idea himself, and I feel like I've improved it a lot. But I'm not going to show you exactly how I track, because that's physical tracking. This is kind of just how the layout is. So I've shown you the basic trackers, and Hunslows will go here, because they track the X's and Y's. corner trackers will go along the corner, and the regular trackers we're going to go up and down this area right here. So what are you going to want to put for your tracker? You're going to want to be able to track other trackers and track the good banks. Now, there's a complete difference. You might be thinking that this is a good bank. However, this is not what you want to track. This is where you want to put your banks, because nobody else tracks this area. You want to be tracking where everybody else tracks without getting tracked yourself. So if somebody else is going to be tracking you, and I keep putting away my supplies, and it's starting to piss me off a little bit, that I keep doing this, what you're going to want to do is kind of put your trackers off to the side, where they're not going to get tracked. And a way to do that is by doing exactly this. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And look at that. You now track from here. And set that to glass. You now cover that entire region with your tracker. But your tracker's all the way over here in the safe zone. I mean, nobody else is going to track you. And even if they do, you're barely in their range. Like maybe a block in their range. So the chances of you getting tracked are extremely slim. So let's remove that real quick and go back to putting other kinds of trackers. Now, let's say you do want to track vaults. What you can use is something called a vault tracker. A vault tracker tracks really low X's and Y's, and then extremely high Z's and X's, depending on which one's high, which one's low. Now, the reason it's used for that is because you can now 1, and then 2. You can now track this area, and that is generally that blue area where most of the vaults are, without using as much supplies. It's only a 3-way tracker. You don't have to use all that supplies for a horizontal, and you can only track vaults. Now, vault trackers are not useful because you can only track vaults, and the only people who you're going to be able to track are the morons who follow this trend. Now, if you follow trends, then you're a fag. That's just my opinion on you. You want to be the ones who are beating the guys who follow the trends. You got to think an extra step ahead. Not be 1 step, but 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps ahead. You know? Some like trippy shit, right? And you want to really get ahead of them. So track the vault trackers. Put your damn tracker like that. Whoops. Put your tracker right there. Track the damn vault tracker. Track the skill. Get them. Easy. Take care of them. So you're going to want to just think about where your positioning on the map is as compared to what you can track. Okay? The places that I put my Hunsos are up and down these. However, that's the first place I put my Hunsos, and it's the first place anybody puts their Hunsos. And it's a bad idea because it's on the 0 axis. And now 0 axes are kind of a gray area. Nobody really loads these chunks, and nobody really goes there, which is why people put their vaults next to them. It is physically impossible to track the 0 area without being an advanced tracker. So by putting your banks on that gray area, it's going to be really hard to track you. The reason being is because people have to track across a coordinate. Now, when you have to track across a coordinate plane, it becomes a real pain in the ass. Like, I'm not even kidding. Because you then have to do math to go over this line of 0. So it will be, let's look at our chords. -2. If I track you like this, I have to do some crazy weird math, and to me it's not that hard. I can do it. I'm really good at math. But most people won't be able to handle that, and they won't be able to do the math to get across the border. So people who put their trackers, like, right there, use this to simplify it, who put their trackers there can't really track you, unless they're a vault tracker. So it's a nice place to put your bank if you really want to. Lastly is the pink, magenta, and purple area, and the sole reason I put my banks here, and I don't always put them right on this coordinate right here, on freaking like negative 7.5k, or no, like negative 8.5k and 4k. I don't always put them right there, but I put them at some funky chords in this purple zone, because nobody goes there. People do travel there, yes, but nobody really puts their trackers there. The smart people will put their trackers facing towards this highly used, like, highway, basically, of players building banks and vaults up and down this thing, because they don't understand this map. And I hope that when you understand this map, you will have a better understanding of it. And if you could see my like hand motions and stuff right now, you'd think I looked like a sir. But that's where you're going to want to put your trackers, and let's get moving on to the next. Alright guys, I am back, and this is going to be a final review on theoretical tracking, aka some BS that I just made up on the top of my head. That is just about the ideas of tracking and the placement of the map. Now I have farms in my right hand, block of emerald, which represents a bank, and a diamond block, which represents anything really good, such as vaults. Now, vaults are acceptable to have on the gray line. Try to keep them inside of this range right here, but not too out here, because you're going to get tracked that way. You might not. Vaults are pretty good right there. Nobody really goes that area. If you put a vault here, it is going to get x-rayed in a heartbeat, because as I said previously, and I'm not sure if I followed up on it, people will nether portal over here, build corner trackers, and x-ray this entire area, because they know banks are going to be here. Don't put your stuff there. Now, your banks themselves can go here, in the green area, or on the outskirts of this purple area, or within this nice magenta area if you really, really like that bank. Now, another concept that I really like is double stacking this map, but instead they're different dimensions. So imagine this entire map stacked on top of each other, and you can see through them. One of them is the nether, and one of them is not. This is a concept you probably already understand, but just don't know what I'm saying. So if I built a bank right here, or yeah, let's put a bank right here. In this one dimension is the overworld. Actually, no. This is the underworld. This is hell. This is where I put my bank, right here in hell. I put my bank at negative 7k, negative 3k in hell. And then in the overworld, I put a farm at the exact same coordinates. Anybody who tracks my bank is going to go to the overworld and find a damn farm. And they will be confused as hell. And they'll most likely not even think of having your bank in the nether. But what you want to do with that is make it so it's not just some crappy little AFK farm. Because if somebody is smart enough, they will sit and they will wait for you to warp in while somebody tracks them. And see if that person is really at that bank at the time that it's saying so. So when you're in a different dimension, such as the hell or the end, even though the end is always disabled, because the end is cheap, make sure that you cover your tracks. Make sure that you don't warp in too often to that bank. Make sure that that farm is a little bit loaded, but not too loaded, so that people will screw off of your bank, and they will stay away from it. This also applies to vaults. Vaults I generally like to make in the nether at really, really high chords. However, this really doesn't apply to the nether over here. This is actually a really good area to put your vaults and crap in, because nobody is so strong-willed to want to walk through 10 to 20,000 blocks of netherrack. I mean, like, seriously, who wants to walk through 10 to 20,000 blocks of this? Look how bland it is, especially when it's just all around you. Like, no, you just can't handle it for a while. So nobody wants to walk through here, and the farther up it is, the better. But kind of try to keep it off to the sides and out of that trend, even when you're in the nether. Keep it away from blaze spawners as well, because people will be attracted to them, whether or not your bank is around it. They might just stumble upon some man-made things like cobblestone, and they will eventually find your bank. I've tracked people while they were traveling in the nether, found the wrong tunnel, like somebody was digging an underground tunnel and I broke into it. I followed that tunnel for 2 hours straight, and I found a tracker at the end of it. And it's ridiculous things like that you find cool things in. So always try to keep your things stacked from the overworld to the nether. Try to get those same coords. If you have really high nether coords, it's not hard to get the same high overworld coords, because it'll automatically TP you over here if you're right there, and then all you have to do is walk in the overworld back over onto this, and build right on top of it in the overworld. You gotta think of this as multi-dimensional, though. This pretty much concludes anything I wanted to talk about on theoretical tracking. Now, oh, that looks trippy. That's like a little sunflower or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, there's Laxboy's little 32 by 32 sword. This is about all you need to know about the entire map. If you guys have any questions, please post them in the comments. If you want a tracking tutorial, for God's sakes, let me know. I don't really care. I'll teach you how to track personally if you really want to, and I'll actually be coming out with a video for physical tracking, where it's an actual tracker in my hands, and I'll show you guys how to work the trackers, what kind of trackers are out there, and what are usable. And I really appreciate you guys watching my videos. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you learned something from this, I hope to see you putting it into action, and I really want to see people tracking hard on MCPVP, or whatever hardcore server you play. See you around.